In Afghanistan, the U.S. military has admitted to killing 23 civilians in an airstrike. It happened in Uruzgan province in February. An investigation found that warnings that the convoy was not an attacking force were ignored or played down, and that the ground force commander was not sure who was in the vehicles. Earlier, I spoke to former Afghan diplomat Masood Aziz. I asked him how the attacks, which killed civilians in Afghanistan, affect the overall strategy of the United States.
Well, obviously, this is it's always a tragedy when you see civilian death during a conflict like this. But as you pointed out, this is doubly important because the entire strategy now is couched under this counterinsurgency strategy that is really focusing on protecting the population. You know, that's quite a new approach now in Afghanistan. Only there for about a year we've been doing this. And because of that, of course, with the civilian death, it really goes completely against that trend. Now, you have to, though, give a lot of credit to General McChrystal. From day one when he came into command, that was one of his highest priority, civilian death, you know, reduce him. He stopped aerial bombing. He asked his commanders that when in doubt, never shoot. And so he's tried to transform this strategy, this counterinsurgency strategy, to really truly focus on protecting the population. But in a war theater with all these soldiers there, and we're going to send in some more, there's bound to be civilian death. And this is really going against everything that the U.S. is trying to pursue.
Despite his intentions, as noble as they may be, despite his efforts to, as you put it, transform that strategy, it's not working, is it? Because we're still getting civilian casualties. Well,
we're getting civilian casualties because this is a hot war. This is a continuing war. It's a counterinsurgency war. That is that the insurgents are hiding or among the population. So in a way, you could also argue that there may not be a clear winning way of doing this without having casualties, you know, civilian casualties. So what we have to decide is whether or not we want to pursue this. And counterinsurgency is a very long-term strategy. You know, most of the average counterinsurgency success is 10 to 12 years long. So are we going to have civilian deaths for that long? That may not really work in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but when you look at the broad strategy, is it then working against coalition intentions? Because if civilians are killed, civilians in Afghanistan are being alienated on the one hand. When does that change? When do they suddenly see the coalition forces as being their saviors, as being their protectors?
That's right. So not only it goes against what the tenets of counterinsurgency strategy by the U.S. and NATO forces are, you know, going against the population when civilian this happen, but the Taliban are coming in and saying, look, the international coalition and the Afghan government are up to no good, and obviously the civilian death plays in the hands of the Taliban. But there's a broader issue here that I would like to emphasize, and that is that so much of the strategies that we are pursuing in Afghanistan are now couched under counterinsurgency and under a military approach alone.